Gerald Gardner. He was seen as eccentric, a genius, a fraud, a witch, a hero, and a trailblazer. You may have never even heard of him at all, but you probably have heard of his creation, Wicca. Wicca is a modern religion most popular in England and America. There are many smaller branches, and each have slightly different beliefs and practices, but some key aspects are universal. Wiccans form groups called covens and practice together, but some choose to be solitary. They have the triple goddess associated with the moon and the horned god associated with the earth that are either worshipped or used for symbolism. Most Wiccans practice witchcraft and follow the idea of harm none, do as ye will from the Wiccan Rede. Wiccans believe that the earth and everything on it is sacred. There is no equivalent to a church, mosque, or synagogue, just nature. Wiccans celebrate the pagan Sabbaths for equinoxes and Esbats on full moons. Although these beliefs are popular among Wiccans, they are not mandatory. Since there is no single leader or dogma, Wiccans can pick and choose what they believe. This is one of the reasons that Wicca has become so popular today. How did this new religion come to be, you may ask? How did its exchange even begin? Let's start from the beginning. Because of his severe asthma, Gerald Gardner was sent away to warmer climates as a young boy with his nanny. She was often away, and he was left to his own devices. He passed the time by learning about the culture around him through reading and observation. What he learned in these places would later shape the traditions and beliefs of Wicca. Their first destination was Nice, France. A part of the culture there is a traditional folk dance called farandole. During this dance, people join hands and dance in a circle and weaving line. Variations of this dance can be seen in Wiccan rituals and at pagan holidays. Then Gerald lived in the Canary Islands. He was only there for a short amount of time, but he still could have observed some of their traditional folklore before departing. After that, he lived in Accra, Ghana. Here, drumming is used in healing ceremonies and for personal expression. In Wicca, drumming is used to raise energy, a key part of any Wiccan ritual. After Accra, Gerald lived in Madeira. In Madeira, there is a folk dance similar to farandole called brinco. Observing this dance impacted Gerald, and later on, Wicca would have commonly used dance and rituals to raise energy. Next, he lived in Sri Lanka. Here, 69% of the population is Buddhist. The Buddhists of Sri Lanka have Poya days about once a month. Poya is a time to commemorate key things in Buddhism during the full moon. This is the most impactful culture that Gerald observed because Wicca is centered around the moon and lunar calendar. But instead of Poya, Wiccans have Esbats during the full moon, where they meet with their covens and have important rituals. Then he lived in Borneo. There, Gerald came across the Dayaks, an indigenous group of people. The Dayaks believed in animism. Animism is defined as the belief in a supernatural power that organizes and animates the material universe. This culture was also very important in the creation of Wicca because animism relates to the core Wiccan belief of energy and magic. After these travels, Gerald went to various East Asian countries before finally settling in Highcliffe, England. When he arrived back in England, Gerald had already encountered various worldviews and belief systems, and, with his already open mind, he began to explore the occult. He started out with Rosicrucianism, which is a secret occult society founded in late medieval Germany. Some of their beliefs were too outlandish for Gerald, like the leader claiming to be immortal, so he lost his interest in it. But even though he was skeptical, he ended up getting involved with the New Forest Coven. He became very fond of them very quickly, and claims to have been initiated by a woman named Old Dorothy. The New Forest Coven was where Gerald took all of his knowledge of different cultures and combined it with witchcraft to create Wicca. In 1949, the Witchcraft Act was still in place in England. This is when Gerald published his first book called High Magic's Aid. This novel is a work of fiction about witches, but contains underlying truths about Gerald's belief system. Then, in 1951, the Witchcraft Act was repealed with the Fraudulent Mediums Act. Witches began to slowly come out of hiding. 3 years later, Gerald published Witchcraft Today, a non-fiction work about his theories on the origins of witchcraft. Then, in 1959, he published his last book, where he writes about beliefs of Wicca and magic. These books began to publicize Wicca. and made Gerald England's most famous modern witch. He began doing interviews and being known as the father of Wicca. Gerald set off the exchange of Wicca with his books, and today it is the fastest growing religion in America and England. And with the help of the internet, more and more people are learning about and practicing Wicca every day. This never would have happened without Gerald. Gerald Gardner's encounter of new cultures as a young man led to his exploration of new worldviews and ways of worship, which ultimately led to the creation of Wicca and its exchange throughout England and America.